I call this regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Joshua Basin Water District to order. Today is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, and the time is 5:00 p.m. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Director Fluen.
Here.
Director Fick.
Here.
Vice President Short.
Here.
And our Director Jarlsberg is on an approved absence this evening. Before we begin, I'd just like to make a few president remarks. As we begin the year, my goal is to run meetings that are clear, respectful, efficient, and collaborative so that the public and every director can easily follow our work, building on the tone and practices set by the previous president. I appreciate everyone's cooperation and patience as we make a few small procedural changes, in particular waiting to be recognized by the chair before speaking. Are there any changes requested to the agenda?
I didn't hear that. What?
Are there any changes requested to the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed, the motion carries. We will now open public comment. See, we have some people on the Zoom meeting. Public comment, this is the time for comments on any district-related matter, whether or not it appears on tonight's agenda. At the discretion of the board president, comments on a particular agenda item may be deferred until that item is heard. Anyone on the Zoom have any comments? General Manager Johnson, are there any electronic, written, or voicemail comments?
None to my knowledge.
Hearing none, the public comment period is closed. Consent calendar. The consent calendar allows the board to approve routine matters efficiently while preserving any director's right to remove an item for separate consideration. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, consent calendar is approved. Next on our agenda is item 7A, the November monthly check register. Presentations will be a presentation by Finance Director Ann Roman. Following discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the November monthly check register.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all and Happy New Year. This is the November 2025 check register that we're reviewing tonight. This total check register, or this check register totals, I should say, $566,892.45. I noted in my staff report some interesting transactions along the way, but we can go through those as we go page by page. Starting on page 10 of the agenda, near the top, we have Amazon Capital Services. So that is Amazon, and that is a larger amount than usual, including, so included in that, in those purchases, there were some just miscellaneous small items like Kleenex, flag clips, door stoppers, 3-drawer lateral filing cabinet, metal shelving, copy paper, pens, pencils, toner, uniforms. But the large part of that purchase was emergency strobe lights for the vehicles, for the fleet vehicles, and smart signs. We also have, let's see, on that page, California Special Districts Association, below halfway down for $9,930. That is the annual renewal of our membership. And everything else looks fairly routine. Any questions on page 10? Moving on to page 11. Near the top, Core and Main, we did purchase some inventory there, 2 2-inch air control valves and 4 clay valve position indicators for PRV stations. We also have See, right above the middle, EBIX, which is our insurance vendor, they manage the vendors, our vendors' insurance requirements. They screen the certificates of insurance from our vendors for us, and that's the annual charge for that service.
We also house all of those documents in one place too, so we can look up by vendor and make sure all their documentation is there.
We also have high-grade materials near at the very bottom of the page, a couple of transactions related to high-grade materials. And that was for shop cleanup, and I don't have all the details on that, but I know that was a big project. We heard a lot of activity over there for a while. Any questions on page 11? Page 12 in red. We have beautiful Mojave Water Agency. We purchased recharge water, 211 acre feet at $629 per acre foot. On that page, we also have our Home Depot invoices, and so from Home Depot, we purchased clamps, work gloves, PRV station parts, water pressure test gauges, Levis pins, and batteries. We, below the middle of the page, we have Napa Auto Parts, and we purchased there 2 batteries, a dust cap wheel bearing, and an acrylic car wash mop. Aside from that, I didn't really have any comments. Any questions or comments on 12?
President Doolittle here. What is PRV?
Pressure reducing
Valve. Okay. I guess I never heard that acronym or never rocked it. Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to page 13 then. We have quite a few things on this page to talk about. Near the top, we have Ridgeline Municipal Strategies. I think we see that for the first time. That is our new municipal advisory vendor. That was approved late last year by the board. They're assisting with our 10-year staffing model and projections, also an O&M operations and maintenance model, and they're going to feed that all in and do a presentation for us in March. That's scheduled for March. And we have on this page as well, Ultimate Motors, right below the middle. We so some costs there related to the installation of the emergency light bars that were purchased through Amazon. We also have the credit cards on this page. So US Bank Corporate, starting with mine, that included a Dropbox subscription and a Smartsheet annual subscription. Those are various tools. Dropbox we use for the audit primarily. And Smartsheet is a tool that I use, very inexpensive tool that I use for the financial report. There was also a credit that was received in that month, which is why it's such a small charge. Then on David's card, we have the monthly Adobe subscriptions. I'm sorry. Did I miss them? Okay. I was just moving right along. We had the monthly Adobe subscriptions, the CESA, California Emergency Services Association membership fees, LED vehicle lights, a clean truck test, and employee training. And on Sarah's card, we had suspension installation for vehicle 41, employee recruiting expense, Aquafall Conference registration and hotel for President Doolittle and Director Fick, and hotel accommodations for HR training. And at the very bottom, we have a very small purchase, USA Blue Book, for some yellow spray paint for the hydrant maintenance. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's really what I noted on that page. Of course, we have the Southern California Edison there as well. That's very routine, but it is a large amount in this month. Questions on page 13?
Calling the Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors meeting for January 7th back to order at 5:23 p.m. We apologize for that disruption. Council Jeff Hoskinson, did you have more to say about this?
I would just let the public, obviously, I don't know, doesn't look like they've returned online, but obviously you restored the meeting online. The board did take action to clear the boardroom to remove the disruptive individuals, and is now allowing people back into the room, subject to no further disruptions, and any disruptive individuals will be removed from the meeting as we continue.
All right, thank you. So we shall proceed now with agenda item 7A, which was the November monthly check register. Finance Director.
I know what it super means. It's certified unified program agency.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was a request for what an acronym CUPA meant. All right, so continuing with item 7A, the November monthly check register.
I think unless there were any other questions on page 13, we were ready to move on to page 14. Page 14 at the very top does include our new dump truck, 2025 Freightliner dump truck. That was $182,951.75. Interesting transaction there. Other than that, very routine. And the total check register was $566,892.45, and that was a good size check register, especially when we have something like the dump truck, some major vehicle or equipment included. No questions on page 14, then I will move on to page 16, which is our payroll.
Director Sloan, have we taken delivery of the dump truck
I
yet?
believe so, yes.
We did. Got to get a ride as soon as it arrived.
Outstanding, thank you.
All right, page 16 is our payroll processing check register. And this one includes $990.91 in payroll processing charges, $75 in FSA, flexible spending account processing charges, and the remainder of $212.18 is in flexible spending account reimbursements. I'd be happy to explain that further if we have any questions, but we've talked about the flexible spending account and how that works in the past. Any questions? Right, page 18 is our utility fund register. Not a lot happening there, but we do have one temporary meter, a construction meter for $3,030.87. That's a refund on a large deposit that was made by the customer when they established their account. And the rest, very small, will look to be routine customer deposits upon closing their accounts. Questions on page 18? Now to page 19, 20, and 21, these are the director's stipends. And we have quite a bit of training and meetings going on here. Total of these 3 pages, $3,200. Questions on any of these items? Great. If not, I believe that concludes the register. Questions?
Director Pick?
Yeah.
My question would be, it's not necessarily in their check register, but I'm curious as to that $43,000 that we're trying to get from the ones who damaged the pipeline. How is that status?
In process.
Still in process?
Still in process, yeah.
Okay.
It's been an interesting challenge, but we are working with Jeff and working with our engineering firm in responses to their insurance company. So it's just been a back and forth, but hopefully resolve soon is the goal.
I did have caution on that. About, I think, 7 or 8 days ago, there was another crew there in that area, and they were working for Spectrum. They were the CCC group, and they were moving a Spectrum box from near the highway about 15 feet towards the biggest Josh tree that got there. And so I stopped by because it was a curious item, and they were rather innocent. They understood why my concern was there. I felt really surprised. Okay.
Yeah, do let me know.
Hearing no more questions, is there a motion to approve the November 2025 check register.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the check register as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, none opposed. Next is item 7B, which is informational. No action will be taken. It's the Copper Mountain Mesa Assessment District Report. Finance Director Roman, please proceed.
Thank you very much. And we do have the Copper Mountain Mesa annual report to go over today. Lisa, if I could share my screen. I'll bring up the PowerPoint. So we have done this routinely for the last several years. This is informative for the participants of the assessment district, especially. PowerPoint. Alrighty. So the Copper Mountain Assessment District, just for some background, was established in 1996 to finance the water system improvements with bonds sold to the USDA as the sole bondholder. In March of 1996, the district issued 4.55 million in bonds secured by special assessments on property parcels collected via property tax bills. These bonds carry a 4.5% interest rate with payments due twice annually, and the bonds are set to be fully repaid by 2036. As of June 2025, the outstanding principal bond balance was 1.75 million. And talk a little bit about the process here. So special assessments are collected from property owners via their county issued property tax bills. So NBS helps us prepare. NBS is our administrator for the assessment district, and they help us prepare the bills and send those to the county tax roll. And those property tax bills are due to the county. Payments are due to the county in December and April. The county remits the collected funds to the district at scheduled times during the year, and the funds are held in trust by the district and used to make the scheduled bond, principal, and interest payments to the USDA. So when payments are not made, so delinquencies, after each tax payment due date, NBS prepares a delinquency report for us and asks whether we would like to send letters to the delinquent property owners, which we do. Those costs are all passed through to the assessment district. The initial delinquency rate reported as of 6/30/25 for the August 1st, 24 billing was 12.78%. So we're always looking back in this particular piece, and that rate, that delinquency rate, typically drops to about 0% after 5 years because the county cures any delinquencies through property tax, through tax sales. And so they require payment of the outstanding bills at that point. So thus the overall delinquency rate for the assessment district stood at 1.21%. And the district has no foreclosure covenant in place. So that means if a parcel does not pay, the district does not foreclose on that parcel. A little more background here. Interesting component of this arrangement is that the district is not obligated to, but may at its sole discretion, advance available funds from the district treasury if for some reason the revenues collected to pay the principal and interest payments were not sufficient. That is a large advantage and unusual about this particular arrangement. The principal and interest payments are payable in September 2nd and September 2nd and March 2nd of each year. And at the bottom here and in the staff report, you can also find the little schedule, the table that comes straight out of our audit. So that is just a little breakdown there, principal and interest for the next upcoming years through the end of the term, 2036. All right, now we have two reports that are related to the CMM Assessment District, the annual report and the continuing disclosure annual report. The annual report, which is also prepared by NBS, provides a summary of the bond's financial status, including repayment schedules, billings details, and delinquency information. In the packet, we have an abbreviated version. It would be quite lengthy if we included the entire report. So we have a URL here for access to that full report. We also have a QR code in the packet. I'm going to put one up here in just a moment as well. We have also the continuing disclosure annual report. So each year at the end of the year by December 31st, NBS with our input prepares and files a continuing disclosure report, which is something that's required by the Securities and Exchange, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. It is filed in the EMA, Electronic Municipal Market Access website, along with the district's most recent audited financial statements. And again, as with the annual report, the continuing disclosure report, the full report is available at this URL. And I have the QR codes up here and again in the packet as well. If you're interested in the full report, there's a lot of detail in there about the billing for each parcel. It shows all of that, just all of that detail. So, wanted to note, I did not put this in my staff report, but something that I've been talking with NBS about is that we want to potentially consider a prepayment. So in the past, we've called this a bond call. It's not a true bond call because a bond call is generally the full bond. This is just a partial prepayment that we're going to be talking about doing. So we will be evaluating that and funding that if there are enough funds in the late redemption account. After we calculate all of this, we'll work with NBS to see if we can prepay to some extent the bond, and that of course will bring down the principal and save the assessment district participants' interest over the repayment term. So it's a good thing for the participants. And one other point that I wanted to make here is that there is an advantage to the participants. The original participants of the CMM assessment district who connect to the water system now do pay a lower charge, a tracked charge to the district for meter connection, since their assessment costs cover the major infrastructure and service line installation work that was originally completed. So they do receive an advantage for that participation. And that really concludes my report. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any comments or questions from the board?
Yep.
Director Pick?
Director Pick here. My question would be on the prepayment. Do you, we have this Copper Mountain Mesa. Where would the money come from in the prepayment? Because the rest of our district would say, why are we paying for that? But I assume there's some sort of category that you have to know what money is generated from that district on
Yes.
Water purchase.
Correct. Those are restricted funds. So we have 3 related restricted funds in LAIF. We have the reserve fund, which is where we are required to keep the amount of an annual payment for the principal and interest. So we always have to keep that available. And we have a redemption account where any excess charges that come in, and I'll explain this a little bit more as well, but any excess charges, so when we're collecting from prior years, when we did a prior bond call, and because although they re-amortized the amortization schedule, the repayment schedule, they are still collecting the full amount that we originally were to bill the assessment district participants. So there is a little bit of an overage there that will then be applied to that prepayment. And so it's really just perpetuating the cycle of paying this down early.
Mute that person who just came on, please.
That's Kathleen.
Oh, it's a Kathleen, okay.
So I'm sorry, I don't know if
So
that answered
rattled.
your question, but and then there's a third LAIF account that's a prepayments account where when individual assessment district participants want to prepay their assessment, we collect that there and then we apply that also to the prepayment overall. So yes, that funding comes all from the restricted funds related to CMM. So it's coming from the revenues that we collect from the participants.
Thank you.
Any other questions? President, do you have a question? Director Vaughn?
Yeah, I always like to be annoying about this thing. So when we do bond calls and make essentially early unscheduled payments on the bond, this schedule that we have here that shows that we go all the way to, I think, 2036 for the completion of this stuff. All of that is gray area, I assume, depending on when there's a bond call, because that would then also affect the interest
Right.
on the principal also.
Yeah, what we will do is prepay the principal. And so because the principal will be reduced, the interest on that principal will also be reduced. And there's the potential, depending on how frequently we can do this, that, we could prepay this sooner than 2036. That is a possibility. But, I don't have that exact information, that's the future. But, yes, that will impact what the participants pay in interest, and that principal balance, every time that decreases, that interest is going to decrease as well.
I forgot to say this is
I recognize
Director.
you. I recognize you.
Good. Also, did I see that, it's been a few days since I looked at this, did I see that there's two places where the money can go? One would be this delinquency account where, we're assuming there's something like 12% of the payments on the property tax is going to be late. So we have some reserve money in there so that we can make sure that we make our payments and stuff like that. And so you're estimating, based on what's happened in prior years, how much money that should be. And then if there's more than what your estimate is, it would go into a second area, so to speak, where you could use that money for the bond call.
Yeah, it gets a little complicated, but yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, so in the reserve account, which is where we're required to put aside 1 year's worth of principal and interest payments.
Okay.
That amount changes from year to year as the bond gets paid down. But we're always required to set aside that amount. So that's based on what payments are required. In the redemption account, we all of the revenues are coming in and going out of that account as we pay for the debt service. And so anything in excess, which comes from prior year collections. So when we collect something that was delinquent previously, but also now we have this compounding effect. Let me see if I can find it. There's a debt variance report in here somewhere, and that shows where, okay, I think I found it. Is this it? Here we go. So the debt variance report on page 31 of your agenda actually shows the principal that is being billed, which is in accordance with the original repayment schedule. But the principal due now has been re-amortized. The repayment schedule has been re-amortized. And so what's due is actually less. So we're still collecting what was originally due. That's going into that redemption fund and then being applied towards a prepayment. If that makes sense.
Also, you said you would get a call from MBS asking if you wanted to send delinquency
yes.
notices or letters. Who does that? Because that could be potentially 800 or 900 or 1,000 letters that have to be prepared and stuffed into envelopes. And
I think it's not that many. I just looked at the most recent one that was sent. And if I remember, those cost about $10 per letter for NBS to send, which is actually a very good price. And there were about 70 letters, 69 or 70 letters that were done in that batch. So after the last property tax collection due date, well, the one I looked at was from last April. We just had another one in December, but I didn't look at that one. I don't think we've been billed for that yet.
okay, yeah, I was looking at this 12.78% late thing is
Yeah.
what I was looking.
Yeah, and that actually.
No, it does. The failure rate drops over time. I know down to what, 1 point something percent?
Yeah, very, just slightly above 0% because most of those delinquencies are cured by the county through tax sale. I'm looking for the 12.
And you've said in the past that can take a long time to recover the money through the tax sale.
Well, the tax sale, after 5 years, if the property taxes haven't been paid after 5 years, they usually initiate the tax sale at that point. But liens that we filed, so that's what you're referring to as liens. When we file liens, those actually only get funded when the property transfers. So if it went through a tax sale, then at that point, we would expect to be paid on a lien. We don't lien for these delinquencies, however, and we don't do foreclosures for them. So it's a little bit different. We're leaning on different accounts. We're not leaning on the CMM assessment district accounts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no further questions, moving ahead to agenda item 7C, the dissolution of the Morongo Basin Pipeline Commission. This is an action item following the presentation. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement with a roll call vote. I'll now recognize General Manager Johnson and Director Flowen for presentation of the item.
Okay. So tonight I bring to you the dissolution agreement for the Morongo Basin Pipeline Commission. The Pipeline Commission was established to oversee the financing and construction of the Morongo Basin Pipeline. And at this December 10th, 2025 meeting, the last meeting of the Morongo Basin Pipeline Commission, it was decided to dissolve the commission, and then subsequently the following day, the MWA Board of Lisa agreed to dissolve the commission as it has served its purpose. It's going to morph into kind of a TAC meeting now that will be staff-led so that we still have a voice at the table regarding the pipeline. Other than that, that's everything else was in my report. And I'd like to give Director Flowen an opportunity to talk about it too, because he did serve on the commission for several years, and we also presented a certificate from MWA, thanking us for the participation of all of the years. It's been a really long time coming. This, I believe, started back in, you probably know the date better than me, but 1992, I believe, is when this all started. And it's interesting to see it finally come full circle and morph into, its next steps.
Director Flowen?
Yeah, try to remember to do that. Yeah, we talked about this at the last meeting, literally the last meeting. One of my initial concerns was that there is no place now for actual board directors from the agencies, participating agencies, to be involved in it. Then on further thought, I realized what it is there's going to be two committees, two boards, supposedly. I guess that's be a better word. The managers working group and which would be all four of the participants plus the general manager of Mojave Water Agency. And the second one would be the Morongo Basin Advisory Committee. And so Sarah would sit on both of those. And I thought, even though our board does not directly participate in the meetings anymore, we've got Sarah there and we have direct contact with Sarah. And so the first meeting that they would have would be this managers working group which is essentially like the lunches and such that you folks have been having for a long time. That's nothing new. That would be everybody plus the MWA manager. But that second meeting, Morongo Basin Advisory Committee, which specifically, I think they say on the paperwork that that will be rotational. They're going to go around to the different participating agencies that have initially paid for the pipeline. That meeting, they would be inviting the public to that. That would be the public meeting, and that'd be all four of the general managers plus the general manager of MWA that's there too. So there is a open public component to this thing still. So overall, I did not see anything wrong with this. And also on page, I think it's 41 or 42 or both of the original contract, it specifies that upon full payment of the bond, that the advisory committee is not going to exist anymore anyway. So what we're doing is we're going from nothing to this. And also there's humans involved in this. So if there's any issues that popped up, practicality things or anything that comes up, we'll just fix it. We'll just fix it through our representative on these two committees.
And I'll say it took about close to, it was over 2 years to get to this point of figuring out what to do with this commission. So it's been a lot of meetings that I've been attending at NWA, trying to work our way through this, and finally came to some resolve. I think everyone breathed a little bit sigh of relief because we were all on the same page.
And apparently there's going to be some effort to associate this with the TAC meeting also somehow.
That's my understanding, yes.
And so we're covering all of the bases. And as I said at the meeting, I have complete confidence in what they're doing over there with pipeline, because it is our pipeline. We bought it. They're just simply taking all of the responsibility for the management of it, the upkeep of it, dealing with the state on the rates for the water, all this kind of stuff. They're doing all of that. I think they're quite effective at it. So I don't really see that we're losing anything by doing this, except I'm going to have to drive 65 miles to the work meetings. That's all I have on it.
Are there any comments or questions from the board?
David Fitt. Yeah, I remember at the John Street Community Center when this was trying to go through in 92. And back then, the Division 2 person was Joy Gaines, who was the wife of a Mr. Gaines. And so, and they needed 16% opposition to it. And all I heard was a lot of belly aching about what was going to happen, because some people in Morongo Valley would never see the water, but they were paying for it. So this happened properly. And the first 3 years while they're building the pipeline, Joshua Basin Water District was giving 500 acre feet of water to High Desert Water District for 3 years till 95. That's what I remember.
Any more comments or questions? Okay. Well, seeing no further questions, we'll proceed to the next agenda item.
That's an action vote.
We'll need it.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 7C, dissolution of the Morongo Basin Pipeline.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
General Manager Johnson, a roll call vote, please.
President Doolittle,
Yes.
Director Flynn,
Yes.
Director Fick,
Yes.
Vice President Short.
Yes.
Item 7D, customer support presentation. This item is informational only. No action is to be taken. Director of Administration, David Shook, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. On behalf of the district, I apologize for that happening on your first official night in your new roles. It's got me stressed out. I keep watching my watch has yelled at me a number of times about my heart rate. So, hopefully I'll be able to share a bit of good news and learning opportunities that we've had. So officially to start, we continue to learn from previous data and metrics, and although many pieces of data remain fairly consistent, our objective is to learn more about the details of providing water and customer interactions that allow the district to improve our services. And this report summarizes the customer support activities and performance metrics. This time period is the second half of 2025. And our focus remains on delivering consistent, effective communication and services to customers while evaluating in-person and digital service needs. So with that, I will stand up and hopefully stop sweating. Do I need to move this?
No, I'm good. I'm fine.
All right, so once again, I'm a Director of Administration. My name is David Shook, and this is a customer support staff report. Awesome. So this is typical. Once again, just to kind of reiterate, the first half of 2025, we worked on 385 envelopes. Just as a reminder, these are the envelopes that come through DocuSign. So this is January, just for your reference here. I know it's very small. In the second half, 375 of these envelopes were packaged by our customer support team. This is July, just for your reference there. So pretty typical. Once again, an envelope is just the name that DocuSign calls the digital container that contains documents, recipients, and the fields needed for transaction requiring signatures. So that definition is directly from DocuSign. Ooh, okay. Phone calls and emails remain the top communication methods with our customers for this second half of 2025. Our customer support staff fielded 7,275 phone calls. These numbers were as of December 22nd. Email is still very functional and frequently used tool. We use that to send and receive attachments and respond to applicants and web forms. President Doodle asked specifically about any interactions that had come in directly related to the Chromium 6 notification that was recently sent out, the latest bill. We have had 0 calls, emails, or in-person visits this week specifically related to that. However, we did have one person where that letter did prompt them to come in and make sure that their account was under a resident, not a business. So it's sort of related, but nothing negative to say about the contents of that notice. We're going to start with a dad joke, but I didn't know that the whole vibe kind of died. But. So what does a guitarist and a fishmonger have in common? They both get to play in tuna. Used to delete that. We previously talked about the field logic data log devices. That's the device that we got from Aquametric that plugs into our meters, and we can extract up to 45 days of data from the meters. That's been a real blessing for us, and I have some awesome examples to share with you tonight. Water surveys, we also work with the field on these, where we put in the service order in our system, and it goes out to GeoViewer, which is a system that the field uses on a regular basis, and they can take the information that we submit on there, read it, provide notes, pictures, videos, descriptions, and then once they complete that service order, it comes back to us and we get that notification. So collaborating with the field on updates. We had a couple of complaints specifically about the county water vehicle that was up on, can I say the name of the street? Sunny Hill. And it was spilling water all over the place. And so I had gotten a couple of videos and a couple of pictures, and what was interesting was that the way that the truck was parked, the water was going both ways. So it was like at the crest of the hill. So what we did was identify what needed to happen with that account. We were able to establish a relationship with someone in the Public Works Department, get any remaining documentation needed into our system. We asked the field to go assess that construction meters, what they use to fill those trucks with. And it turned out to be not functioning as expected, so that only complicated matters. So there was an issue with the equipment on the truck itself, and there was an issue, small issue with our equipment. So our equipment was fixed, it's been moved. Now I can keep my eye on it. It's right outside down the street over here. In addition to High Desert Water Transport, we've had a good working relationship with them. However, we did discover that annually water haulers are to apply for and receive a water hauler certificate. So now that's one of the stipulations that we have in their account that we request that from them. Am I talking too fast? I feel like I'm out of breath. Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. So common customer concerns and findings, there's still a recurring theme of irrigation issues and running toilets. This happens very, very often. Every day we're talking to someone in another state or in another city that is not in the Morongo Basin about their property here that's having issues, and they don't believe us. So the good thing is that we have the field logic device and the pictures and the videos, and we can email those to them and say, your property manager might not be giving you the full story, and we can show them. So we still have had 0 meters fail testing, which is awesome. So one thing, what do you notice about this graph here? I hope you can see enough of it.
That's the data that comes out of the field logic device.
This is a visual representation of the data that comes out of the field logic device. I just map it to a graph. So if you notice, this meter never goes to 0. So there's something constantly going in this person's dwelling. And we're finding that pattern more and more and more. So usually if I go to work, I don't have any irrigation at home. So between the hours of, let's say, 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., there should be 0 usage at my personal home. Because I don't have any irrigation and no one's turning on the sink or taking a shower or anything like that. So we're starting to see and learn from, kind of feels like I'm in the matrix where I'm just looking at data and identifying what it means. But when these never go to 0, they have something that's constantly going. If it's an irrigation leak or most commonly it's been a toilet. And so we have been giving out toilet tabs, explaining those to people how to use them. If you've never used one, we have some.
How do you use that?
You drop them in the tank, and it has, there's a couple different kinds, but the ones that we have now, they're 2 little tablets that produce a non-staining dye. So if the water comes into the bowl with that dye, then you have something that's constantly running. So most what we've seen so far is that the flange is dry rotted. I had to replace both of mine because my kids are very rough with the toilet handle for whatever reason. And what that did was, so I gently use my toilet, now, especially now. But I just hear them, smash it down. Anyway, what that does is on the inside, there's usually a plastic nut. And there's an arm and a chain. And when that nut becomes loose, therefore the arm doesn't work as designed, and the chain goes underneath the flange and doesn't cause it to seal. So when the tank never fills up. So, yeah.
Common problem.
Yes, yes, it is. All right. So we also appreciate when customers are honest. Here's another example here. This person further validated the accuracy of our meters, which in my mind is awesome. She told us my landlord came and turned my irrigation off on December 16th. This one, I wanted to make sure that you got all 45 days, so the date's in here, but I can prove this to you. I don't lie. This, actually right here, is the 16th. So this happened in the middle of the night. This is 2 days, 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 2 days, 3 days, 2, 2. And then, so there was an issue with the irrigation, and the landlord came and turned it off. Then we discovered toilet. So typically, this is what every once in a while you would want your meter to do, would be 0 with no water usage at all. And that's not always the case.
David, it's hard to see, but I see it going up at 2:07
Mhm.
and 2:06. It seems 2:07. It seems like every the same hour.
Yeah, that's when she had her irrigation timers.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is in the middle of the night, it's between 1 and, yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Kathleen just moving around.
Oh, that's just a film.
Yeah, I think I feel safe. I feel okay about that.
Oh my gosh. Your VPN was above your normal rate. So then, again, this is another great visual example of that field logic data device, the information that is extracted from it. And we do these every day. At the end of the day, our field tech comes in and gives me the flash drive, and I upload them into our account for the customer support team so that they have them in case they need to email them out to the customer. And the only manipulation I do to these is it comes in a CSV file, but I haven't found a way to save the graph on there as a CSV. So all I do is rename it as Excel, and I change the file type to Excel so that when they open it up front, they're able to see all the information there. Okay, addressing social media. I'm not going to go into a bunch of it, but this water survey came about from a Facebook comment talking about a high bill, and they didn't understand. My first thought was, you should have called us. So I went out there with our field tech to kind of take an assessment of what we found, or take an assessment of what we could find. This isn't official. This is just me drawing on the snippet that I took from our GIS system. But the meters here, and this is a multi-family apartment complex within our district. And from what I can tell, these are kind of common areas here, where this is the dwelling units. And as soon as we showed up, someone said, "Are you guys from the water company?" "Yes, sir, we are." He's like, "Oh, I found a leak here." Okay. And so he had already dug all of this up. And the further I dug with my hand underneath this, the more saturated the soil was. And in between both, this picture is from here, and this one is from this one. So from what I can determine so far without digging up all the sidewalk is that the service lines have been having an issue. This customer that lives here was getting the bill from the property owner to pay for this entire complex. So unfortunately, what they're posting, I don't know if it's just confusion, or that's where people typically go to maybe get help with other things. I'm not sure. I did see a post of where to get my hair done. So I don't know what the purpose is of going that route instead of just calling us, because we went out there and we found an issue right away. So whenever I see bright, beautiful green grass like this, there's an issue with the soil. So that water wasn't even going into their unit. So now we have a domestic thing that we're kind of in the middle of with tenants and property owners. This is another one that we've come across. I don't know if you can quite tell on this photo here. Do you see the saturation in here? And this is a large irrigation box. This is a bucket full of water. I can tell that there's some stuff going on with this. Are you able to, Lisa, can you hover over this? And then there should be a play button there. I know it was kind of a quick video, but this is another broken irrigation. So what happened, can you play it one more time? Sure. Right here, there was a broken irrigation and we went out to do a water survey. I was there with a field technician and maintenance worker. And we were taking the information from the meter and he asked if we could turn it on to see what was happening. And we did, and we noticed use right away. This particular person invited me inside, which I don't do.
Kathleen.
Oh, good, I'll talk to her.
Anyway, so while I was walking with the customer one direction, our field service tech said, sir, you've got some water running over here. And then we went back together and that thing was going. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a video of it happening in the moment, but so that water kind of came around, and this rock is massive. It's huge. And this was all saturated going down around the pool, down elevation, following the elevation. And I could tell that this had kind of been backfilled manually. So while we were there, we found the issue that apparently didn't exist. So it's interesting. So, but we're going to be able to help this customer. I actually was able to, this person was claiming that we did not reach out to them, which I confirmed with customer support that we did. I confirmed with the field technicians that we did. I also confirmed that he did not know how to turn on the ringer on his phone. So I showed him how to do that. Oh, I guess I could have done it. All right. Here's an example of the service order note that comes in. Got an after hours emergency call from a neighbor. Said their yard was being flooded out. Drove out and discovered the meter rushing water. Walked through the field and discovered the stream where the supply line had broken. Turned off meter at customer valve and went to leave a door tag at the property. Discovered it was an Airbnb that was currently being occupied. Informed the guests of what happened and they said they would reach out to the host. I later received a call from the owner and sent them over the photos and videos I took and described what I found. They said they would reach out to the plumber to try to get it resolved. I told them how to turn the meter back on, but also advised them not to do so until repairs have been made to avoid further damage to surrounding properties, et cetera, et cetera. So here's another couple of examples. This is, if you ever hear the term, and the meter was ripping, this is the example here. Oh, that was really anticlimactic. I thought it was gonna work. Can you play this one? It's not quite normal. So the next one, please. Nice little there on. So if you notice, I'm gonna go ahead and use this. was the river kind of that the water had cut through the soil. And we often hear, but there would be a lake in my yard. I think I've mentioned that before, and I have a different example for that kind of scenario. And I think it's just the type of soil. So if you have soft soil here and the water cuts through this, and then it leaves, this is this kind of
Pathway.
the other way, yeah. And it just goes on and on. And so we have a lot of those examples as well.
Next slide.
Cool thing about our GIS system with these service orders that they're able to upload these high definition videos for us to see and show the board and general manager and all in all the customer. Okay, I mentioned the one about, but there would be a lake in my yard. So this one kind of includes both types. So this one, the notes, completion notes here, walk the property with the maintenance man. And we found several sprinkler heads overflowing with water. The ground around the area was completely saturated, and we began to sink into the ground while we were walking. So our field service tech said he almost lost his boots. So here's the examples here. Here's kind of what it looked like from afar. But all of it is really saturated. And when we see these, patches of green when we go out there, that really sticks out and says, you've got an issue with water that's not supposed to be there. Water and sunshine, usually green. So. Okay, things that we're working on. Communication, phone and text notifications within our system. I think Ann and I maybe kind of touched on this a little bit. Thank you, Ann, for facilitating working with PACE, which is through our system. And I got the acronym this time. Planned Annual Continuing Education. So we're allowed 48 hours in a year, so we can get training in 2-hour chunks, 2 or 4-hour chunks. And we had a really awesome training this morning with our representative there. So what we're wanting to do is use our system more as a tool instead of a hindrance. So we don't necessarily need to invest in like an emergency broadcasting app. We can use what we already invest in and use on a daily basis. It's going to take some work to get cell phone numbers identified, what we're going to do for opting in. But that's something that we're going to be working on.
That's through Encode.
It is through Encode, yes, ma'am. So the tools are there. We're now more familiar with them, and we'll be learning how to use them more for our advantage. So it could be anything from emergencies, earthquake, oil order, heaven forbid that happens. One example that we kind of discussed today was, since there was that leak last week, I'm going to do a rough. So this is our district. There's a square here that's not us, and a square here that's not us. But let's say there's a leak that's affecting this northernmost area of the district. And there's one particular line that is affecting, let's just say, this area. We can go into our system and identify all the streets, all the cross streets, select them, and pick which message we're going to send. So we don't have to send anybody up in Quail Springs that there's going to be a water outage until 6 p.m. for everybody on the north side, because it doesn't pertain to them. So that's just one example of how we can better utilize that system. Chromium 6 messaging and campaigns. Again, to the mystical whiteboard. This is just an idea we kind of throwing around to what's the word? Visualize, animate what 100 parts per billion, what our district average is, and what the new standard is. So this is just an example. We might be filming some videos to put on our Facebook or YouTube, but the federal government and the state we're both at 100 parts per billion. Joshua Basin Water District has always been right around here. Now, the state has changed the reg to be down here, and therefore we now have to meet this. So, looking into ChatGPT to give me some representations of what 10 parts per billion means. The one that stuck out to me the most was if you drive from Los Angeles to Denver, Colorado, 10 parts per billion is represented by the thickness of your fingernail in that distance. So also with the dump truck, if you have a whole dump truck full of sand and you pick out 10 grains, that's what that means. So trying to figure out simple but effective and meaningful visualizations to share with the community. So, all right, exterior lighting. General manager and I both recognize that the lights on the exterior of this building specifically are a little bit invasive, and I'm working on getting some shrouds or some other method. But we want to do it responsibly, so we're working with ops and actual electricians to get something that's suitable to meet that new ordinance. So the good news is that the guys at the shop have already fixed 2 lights that were invasive over there going into someone's living room window. And on the last slide, they actually sent a thank you. So those are more and more rare, so I'm going to put them on a PowerPoint. So, and also we're planning educational and informal, informational social media posts. So I've got some ideas for that. I'm going to run it by general manager. Some of those I have already. How to lock your meter. Something that maybe to all of us is second nature, to somebody that's just moving out here or might not have ever even looked in their meter box, could be completely foreign. So I have something step by step. I can film a video. I can use tiny hands if I want to do that. So we're aware of educational things that need to happen, and we're actively working on them. Another one is meter math. I think maybe some of you are aware of that. So I've simplified that to try to make it relatable and understandable. So
You want to talk about a response that we're doing on Facebook now?
sure. Yeah. I go on and I heart everybody's. No. We're doing a generic response on some of those Facebook anti-JBWD campaigns. Just to say, we see you, we're listening, please call us. We have not received any phone calls or emails specifically for that, but we're putting forth the effort and to make them aware that we are aware of what's going on there on those forums. And as general manager says, now the ball is in their court. So we'd be happy to talk to any of those people.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's something to do with what happened now.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Indeed, but we have nothing to hide. We're transparent. We're doing everything the best to our ability. And if people have an issue, we want to help. That's certainly, they can get a hold of us. We can help them better than posting on Facebook, because that's not where our customer complaints come in. They could call us and let us help the customer.
And those graphs really do help, because it gives us something electronically tangible that they can view and say, this is from your address, and give them hour by hour how many cubic feet they've used and show them what those different patterns. All right, so this is the comment that we got. I got one via email. I take no credit for it. I just helped kind of facilitate with the field working to get those lights adjusted. So they're aware of that. I let them know. So I also wanted to thank my staff, all the finance staff too, for always helping me. I have a new quote. The more I learn, the less I know. And that still holds true. So it's kind of, there's always something to learn more about. And still happy to do that. So thank you for your time.
Are there any comments or yeah, excellent presentation. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Director Fit?
For each meter account we have, do we have the possibly email and phone number for that account?
No.
Only if it was.
Can we request that? Because I don't know if that person you were talking about, the second one, the one with the boulders and all that. I don't know if that was the one that was coming at me, but he got a letter that he picked up 2 weeks after his leak. And he was concerned, why wasn't he notified before? And I said, I don't know if you've given them their email or not. So that would, for notifying people, that would probably be the best thing to do, is have their email.
We do
And
put
the
a
phone
campaign out asking people to please give us their contact information, update it because they change phone numbers often or email addresses often. And that's typically the problem. Most people will give us something in the beginning, but they get a new phone and they forget to come back and update their contact information with us. So we're ramping up the campaign.
And specifically to collect that contact.
Yes.
information.
So always tell, if we have a change of contact information web form, it's very easy for customers to go on our website. So if you're talking with constituents, say, please make sure we have your information, go on our website and update it. And you'll get that and we'll add it to their account very, happily.
And the possible AMI system that might be coming in and our meters are compatible with that, that would be able to find the leak pretty quickly.
I think that is one of the main purposes of that system. And so I think it's kind of like the field logic on a grander scale. So I'd be more than happy to keep looking into that if that's the board's direction.
We'll be bringing it back in the budget discussions in the spring.
Director Plum?
Yes, ma'am. Kathleen Radnich has arrived. She's our
Never left. I was with you all the way until
something happened. Yeah.
it was weird listening in and all these loud, horrible sounds.
You didn't see it.
Well, no, I was driving. Well.
Be grateful you didn't see it.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, be great.
Saying my point is, though, that we do have a booth at the farmer's market across from the laundromat. And Kathleen has a banner up there, an 8-foot long banner at the booth that indicates the thing about telling the water company contact information and stuff like that. And whenever it's appropriate, we bring it up to people too, if they need to let us know where they are so we can call them about stuff.
What percentage of the people that you speak with there are local or visitors, would you
Depends on
estimate?
the weekend. I would say we are being overwhelmed with people wanting to move here still. And they're either visiting or renting for a while, temporarily here. And they'll come in with a concern or a good question. And some of the stuff, much of it, we address in our newsletter. So that's how I get their email, because I'll say, you have a free newsletter. We talk about, we have classes. And do you get our newsletter? Well, I don't know. I said, well, give me your email anyway. I'll make sure you're in. So we're trying to get those emails through that. But I would say, on holiday weekends, we're just slammed with visitors. But we still have our regulars who come through to get their food. And what's interesting is they would rather stop by the booth on a Saturday and tell us there's a leak that's been going on all morning instead of picking up the phone and calling the water district. That just escapes me. I don't understand it, but we stand right in front of them and we call it in right in front of them so they know kind of this is how easy it is. So, but that's what we've noticed.
Any other comments or questions from you?
Yeah, I got one. This
Director
is
Short, the Vice
Vice
President.
President Short. Yeah, this is
Doing that for
the graphs in the presentation. Is that available to customers upon request?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all for me.
I have a couple of things, President Doolittle. One is I'm happy to hear about the Facebook post that you're responding to that, because I think it's good to let them know that you're reading it, and it's better than it just being a vacuum and they think nobody's hearing it. It's very frustrating to read the things that they post. But so I'm glad that you guys are posting what you're posting. And I wanted to say that I always have a conversation with someone today, and I was talking to them about something somebody posted about me and on Facebook, and it was a complaint about customer service and how I had to say that I was involved in governance and policy as a board member and not in the day-to-day operations. And I told my friend, I said, and you know what? In like the 5 years that I've been here, 6 years now, every time that I've had somebody complain to me or come to me and tell me something, nearly every time, I have come to the district and found that there's been extremely good due diligence to figure out what the problem is and the investigation, and that, you guys have the receipts. So,
Such is the case with, if I'm thinking of the one.
yes, right. So I have a lot of faith in customer service, and this was nice to see this presentation. And I just had a thought that maybe if something was said regarding the keeping stuff up to date, not staying up to date could cost you. You know what I mean? Like, put it in terms of dollars. Anyway, right. So, hi, CAC President Dave Carrillo.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, David. I think that it would be really good if you can, I don't know if it'd have to be lower on it, but your description of parts per billion is invaluable for some people to see it and understand it, because I don't think they really have an understanding of what a part per billion is and how it was mandated that we do that. And we were under anyways, as far as a part per billion. I think it'd be great for them to see and maybe you could put it on social media, or I don't know how you would do that, but the explanation was powerful.
There's quite a few that we've looked into, like what would be, or maybe we'll just give them all. It's like an Olympic sized pool. It's one drop, literally.
There's half a teaspoon.
That's
You
the
know,
one we
and-
use at the market. Yeah.
And how many gallons is that? An Olympic sized pool.
I don't remember. It's a
Yeah.
lot, yeah. And if you happen to drive by and see the huge mound of dirt back here, and consider that 1 billion grains of sand, and then go and put 10 in your hand. That's
That's what-
kind of like the visual that
That's what we're gonna have to build these vessels to filter out, is that small amount.
And to be honest, even at 100, that's still a very small amount. But now it's even less, so if there's things that only have to bring about 100.
Or even at a market, have a little thing there. This is what it really is equal to.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Well, we're definitely working on some campaigns, some beef guts, so you might get voluntold.
Well, thank you. I hear you.
Seeing no further questions. Seeing no further questions, we'll proceed to the next item, which is reports and comments. This item is for informational purposes only on subjects not covered by the agenda. No action may be taken. Directors and the general manager may provide reports or request future agenda items. Director Flowen?
Well, we've been on vacation from the market, so I haven't been doing that. However, I did get out to the Copper Mountain Mesa breakfast last Saturday. And it is somewhat enjoyable, although the traveling out there is arduous because of the roads. But just to mention, there was a lot of talk about solar panels as people would walk by where I was sitting, and a lot of concern over all the clouds that were out there, and their solar panels were registering 0 as far as what the production of them was. There was a lot of that. I was surprised. Another thing that was somewhat disappointing was one of our fairly high-profile community members. He always walks by the market when we're there, and he's always interacting with people there. But he told me he never drinks the water, and I tried to convince him otherwise. But it's like a barrier to get people, and I think it's something that we have to in a never-ending manner, persistent manner, always remind people that the water is safe to drink, even in David's Shook's presentation. We're talking about the micro amounts of this gets out there. And also I'm hoping at the market, I just discovered when I opened my bill, that the information letter is repetitive. And if you can, it would be beneficial to continue putting that in there for a while. What I'm hoping for is that somebody will get a big bill and then they'll go, well, maybe I should read this letter, kind of a thing. But it's really hard to convince people that they're drinking snow melt from the Sierras. They're not. It's not something that's running out of down the gutter or something like that necessarily. So anyway, I thought it was very useful, and the staff up there, which by and large at their community meetings, the staff there is also the ones that volunteer to do work in the kitchen and deliver food to the tables and stuff like that. I get a lot of recognition from those folks. So Steve from your other agency, Bardwell, was there, and just momentarily, he just kind of like that as he walked by. So I thought that was good too. It's productive, and so I think that persistence in these kind of things, directors being at the market or going to these things like this or the one in Landers. I think over time, it's good that we do those kinds of things to let them know that there's human beings that are responsible for their water supply. That's my comment. Thank you.
Director Vic?
Oh, well, the dominating issue in the last month and a half or so has been the county's thinking about sewer authority for our little district. And I'm not understanding why they did this without telling us much about it. There's much more information going on. But in understanding that a special district would be directed by the Board of Supervisors. And the Board of Supervisors seem to be an unpopular group with the general Joshua Tree community, the active Joshua Tree community. And so just that issue would be a very unpopular thing for them to try and do. But we'll be going down this big rocky road of the possible sewer authority, and that's the dominating issue right now for us. That's it.
Vice President Shore?
Well, I want to start by thanking the staff for their professionalism and reaction to the disturbance today. That kind of threw me for a loop today. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, that's it.
We all feel the same way.
All right, President Doolittle, my report. Yes, that we had a major distraction here, and David Shook admitted to being a little affected by it, and I want to say he looks like I need a drink. So, a couple of things I wanted to say was I appreciate, I forgot to mention that I do appreciate the Parks per Billion, and we did have a meeting. General Manager Johnson allowed me to attend a meeting that she had scheduled with the county, and our field rep Glenn Harris was there. It was on Zoom, and Supervisor Dawn Rao was there, and then her assistant Claire, and then the two of us. And Sarah, I got to participate and see Sarah ask them some questions related to the sewer and the lack of notification. And I was very impressed with how direct she was and how she managed that situation. And I wanted to say that the important takeaway that I took was that the 6.5 million that in discretionary funds is going to be spent this year. And so that means that the public meetings and the Department of Special Districts, or whatever they're called, of the county, working with LAFCO, our local agency commission that creates special districts, that'll also be all of that'll be happening this year. And so will the opportunities for community feedback. Now, I don't know when those meetings are going to happen, how many meetings there are going to be, but I do know that it looks like it's all going to happen this year. And I think yeah, that's all for me. At this time, I'll turn it over to General Manager Sarah Johnson for the General Manager's report. If any director has a question of General Manager Johnson, please hold it until the end of her report.
All right, just a brief report tonight. Yesterday, President Ula and I met as her president role kickoff meeting, I guess is what you call it. Got through a lot of topics and looking at some really good changes for some of the agenda management and ways that we're reporting to the board. So looking forward to that. Yesterday, President Doolittle and I also met with Don Rao as you spoke, and you pretty much covered everything I was going to cover in that. The only thing I can say is that the county, this is kind of confusing, so hopefully I can clarify it. The county has a department that's called special districts, but it's still the county. That's what that department is called. And they're, I'm not certain of his title, but the head honcho of that department contacted me yesterday and left me a message that they want to do a kickoff meeting. So that's being scheduled. It's not scheduled yet. And that's a staff level meeting, but then I'll bring back to the board what I learned from that. I didn't get the same impression that the money would all be spent this year, but maybe I misheard. But I did hear that that a lot would be happening this year. I also wanted to point out one of the questions that I asked during that meeting is, could this all just go away? Could this not happen? And she said that there's there's a chance of that, where they do a design or a study and then a design, and then they shelve it because there isn't enough money to fund it, because that 6.2 or 5 million is not going to fund the cost of sewer. Sewer is very, very expensive. So then I did ask, how is it going to be funded? And that was a complicated question, but it would come from multiple avenues of earmarks and grants and SRF, state revolving funding, and et cetera. So lots of different places, but it's really, really expensive. And I just don't want people to think that $6 million is going to cover it. That's barely going to cover the planning portion and survey portion of the project. But I'll be sure to keep you as the board informed of what I learned. If there's an opportunity to have special districts come in and present, I'm going to try to get that to happen as well. David, you had one?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about Planet Bids a
Yes.
little bit. I'll be working with an account executive to implement Planet Bids, which is a website that hosts RFPs that is commonly used by contractors to submit their information, insurance, and so on and so forth, and for that to be collected. So I'll be working on that throughout January.
And as you know, we have the E21 RFP out. We had our in-house meeting where the contractors come in and ask questions about the RFP. We had quite a few show up. It was really exciting, actually. And then they got to go out on site and survey the site, and then they'll submit their bids for the job. But we did this all very manually because we don't have a platform in which to publicize it. So David's been really, thank you, David, because he's really been integral in getting this information out to those contractors and getting it posted on our website appropriately and getting it sent out. It has to be posted in public places because we don't have Planet Bids or that kind of platform currently. So he has to go to the post office and he has to photograph that it's been posted into a couple of others outside here and then the library. And on top of that, anytime there's a change or an addendum, that's a manual process and it goes on our website. So Planet Bids helps streamline that. And that meeting we had here in this room, that can be done through Zoom in the future so that you can get potentially a lot more bidders. So we know that we're going to have a lot more capital projects in the future. And this is just a step to help us streamline that process and make it a little bit better. And all the contractors know when they're looking for work where to go to Planet Bids because they can source all the open jobs. So it'll be a really good way to publicize it and get a lot more competition. And
I'm
then
not sure I want to host it on Zoom.
I agree. And then lastly, Lisa has been working really hard on getting the calendar for 2026 for the board meetings and for all the other meetings that you attend. So that will be out shortly. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Can I sneak something in?
Yeah. Director Paul?
We did have this interruption of the meeting, and it was a significant thing. In my years, nothing like that has ever happened before. But our legal counsel, Jeff, right off the bat, he knew exactly what to do, what the procedures were supposed to be, and was very helpful to the board president on how to handle this. The deal too is that under the Brown Act, public meetings are very restricted and specific about how they're conducted. And Jeff was just wonderful, I thought. And this was all very disturbing to us because we saw the visuals of this. But Jeff had a very calming effect on me because he was just exactly in control of what he was supposed to do, and he conveyed it all very well. So I'm just kudos to Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes, thank you.
That was the first for me. I've heard of those, but I've not seen one before, so we'll see what we can do to prevent it. Going forward.
Yes. Thanks for the captions.
Mhm.
Good for the teacher.
Right, well, thank you to our staff, General Manager Johnson, and my fellow directors. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:45 p.m.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Jeff.
That was more interesting than
Bye-bye.
I think any of us were expecting, so.
Things coming out of